Raffi, we've got
no,
more
we're not doing this
questions
again.
for you.
Oh, okay.
We've got more
There we
questions
go.
for you today.
You got what?
More questions for you today.
Okay,
Less than
here we go.
yesterday.
Less than?
Yesterday, but still a couple.
Okay.
So if you could describe Thompson Ferrier as it is today, how would you describe the brand? Aside from a lifestyle, what is it?
Wait, say it again.
Describe Thompson Ferrier today. What is it?
Today?
Mm-hmm.
It's an aspirational brand.
Aspiring to what?
Aspirational brand. We set the mood. We design the product to set a particular mood, so it helps you get into a frame of mind. All the time, it's about getting into a frame of mind, because the mind is a choice, what you think and how you feel, and this is just one piece of everything that you do. You at night, for example, you get the glass of wine, you put the TV on, you light the candle, you decorate your space. We just want to set that tone, help you get into a frame of mind of beauty.
Okay.
Okay, here we are.
So at one point you mentioned that there were 3 phases of Thompson Ferrier. This being the last one.
Right.
Can you walk us through each of those phases?
You want me to walk through the history?
Yep.
Wow. It started off as Thompson Ferrier, the brand. That was phase 1. And we had not created a brand at all before. We did not have the know-how to create a brand before. Then I paused that after a few years, and I thought, mistakenly, that there's a bigger and better opportunity at big box stores if I could sell much bigger volume to TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Marshalls, Hobby Lobby, Cracker Barrel, Ross, Burlington, Century 21. If I could get those guys, I would do a lot better, because I knew the talent that I had. That was phase 2. And then I found out that there's no margin in that game. And by the way, I was actually not happy because of a lot of reasons, which I'll get, like one day maybe I'll have an opportunity to talk about it.
And phase 3?
Oh, phase 3 is the current way that you see it. I'm sorry. It's like finally when I said no way, November 11th, I think it was 4 years ago, I said, 4 years ago, I said, no way am I not doing that anymore. Literally in one day, I stopped everything. And I said, I'm going to focus on building the brand that I wanted to build in the beginning.
Within each phase, how did you determine what designs and which fragrances to make?
Oh, I still have my samples here. Let's look at this. Where is that sample? We made this design. We started off with this glass. That was our first foray, and the glass was supposed to be this is a patented design. This is how we started the first setup. So we have a coaster, the sham, we did a reveal, we did all hand etching, sandblasting, and our original was to have this hand-stitched pouch. We actually bought the fabric, hand-stitched everything, put a little, like you can see there's a cushion on the bottom. This was the original presentation with the reed diffuser, which I don't have here anymore. That was our first. What was the question again? I forgot.
Within each phase, how did you determine what designs and which fragrances to make?
Oh, and then the fragrances was things that it took us like a year to develop because of the real estate business we were in. We had done model homes. This fragrance business started because of that. A model home, if it had like 5 designs, we did one fragrance for each design, and then instead of giving a card out, we gave a little sample set, like not this big, but they're like these little things. They look like this. You see, they look like this. So instead of giving them a card, I would put the model name, fragrance, and the phone number here, but nobody threw this away. No one threw it away, so I always knew that my customer would keep that. And then they would call me and say, I love this fragrance, it was for this model, or the thing that smelled that way, so that was the reference. So
and
that was.
How did you choose which fragrances to make? Did you do research, or was it more gut feeling?
A lot of sampling. Going back to our perfumer to say, hey, this is not strong enough. This is not this. The bouquet is weak. Because we had a fragrance background in the first place. So I think the first were Gardenia was still my number 1. I did an amber, like a real rich amber. Very deep amber fragrance. We did a very fruity one. So I covered the array. For 5, I wanted to have the categories covered.
Did you have focus groups, or was it all you deciding, this works, this
Oh, no.
doesn't work?
No, it's all me. It was all me. What else?
What was the most challenging part of phase one?
Challenging? Actually, this is a very strange answer. Being super successful at a show, which we sold a ton, couldn't deliver on the goods, then turning around, not getting, like the stores, finding out how difficult it is to enter stores once that period finished. So that once we delivered whatever we did, and then the lull began where we're trying to contact stores, and there's a big thing in the market that says, if you're not searchable, nobody wants you. Meaning, if somebody's not looking for you, the store won't take you. So that was a very, 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 and internet was coming around at the time, like becoming really heavy. So that when you Googled the name, nobody would find it. There was nothing for that brand, for Thompson Ferrier.
Do you feel that those challenges are recurring every time a new phase starts?
No, there are new challenges, but no, not those challenges. There's always a challenge. We always have challenges. I think no matter where you are in the beginning, middle, top, and you become super successful, even when you're super successful, becoming stale is yet a new challenge. So there's always challenges. So that we embrace it all. For me, I know challenges is part of the big formula. So I don't look at it as, oh my God, we have a challenge. I look at it as, this is the challenge. What do we do about it?
What is one business struggle that's a constant across all stages that you've become comfortable with?
The challenge. That is it. Because people have, what you do is you get anxiety about everything, and you're realizing that you don't have, you're expecting this, you're welcoming these challenges, whatever they may be, and then that becomes your weapon, that becomes your comfort.
Building a brand is challenging and requires persistence, time, and dedication. If Thompson Ferrier is your legacy, what do you hope it brings to the world, and how are you working to make that a reality?
Before you do that, because now that I'm thinking, I want to go back to something. Something is super important. Why we went into 3 phases. Something is super important. Why we went from phase 2, which was selling to big box stores, and shifting to the current way that you see Thompson Ferrier. I still have these here. Hold on a second. Let me show you something. So at big box stores, okay, these are the types of things that I had done. So what happened was I was bringing the design that I knew I could deliver on with amazing with real great, like, look at this. This is the kind of stuff I was doing for TJ Maxx, Home Goods. If you went to Home Goods, you probably have one of these. If you see these are all made by me at Home Goods. All these were made, even these were like these patterns that I created for them. But I couldn't make any money with it, and the design was not appreciated. And to this day, this stuff doesn't exist there. So when we I figured out that the design is not being appreciated, not by the consumer, because the consumer was snapping it up. The problem was the retailer was putting me on par with a standard candle that they sell. This does not have the same, like if this is $7.99, they would mark this at $7.99. It just didn't make sense to me. I couldn't get past that. I wanted to get past that. This is why we then came back and said, okay, now I know all the logistics, I know everything what to do, and then we're gonna now go back and build the brand Thompson Ferrier, because I was able to do, all these, I was the one who introduced this entire concept, which was, by the way, stolen by Pier 1, Target stole from me, the design they stole from me. This is all done, there's a million, can you zoom up there for a second, real quick? Zoom up there for a second, look at it. All those designs, by the way, zoom into it, all those designs were the designs that I did for them. And all those other designs, here, look, let's go over here for a second. Look at all these designs that we did. Here, look, this is all for them. But that was very fashion forward. It was too ahead of its game. So I went back and I said, now I'm going to focus. No matter what, I'm going to focus on the brand. I'm sorry. I wanted to get that out of the way. So what is it?
Okay.
So what was the question again?
The last question was, building a brand is challenging and requires persistence, time, and dedication. If Thompson Ferrier is your legacy, what do you hope it brings to the world, and how are you working to make that a reality?
let's go in here for a second. I'm not really understanding the question.
So the
You
question,
want me to
the question is,
'cause there's
your legacy is Thompson Ferrier, correct?
right.
So what do you hope that it brings to the world?
First of all, we broke a particular mold in the market, which is the same thing that I was doing with the big box stores. A candle consistently was something in a jar. That's all it was. Let's go here for a second. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Here is your well-known candle. This is the well-known candle, right? So if this is a well-known candle, what is this? It's a piece of glass, right? So now let's compare that with this candle. We broke that mold. We broke the mold to say that a candle should be this way, just in a jar. It shouldn't be just in a jar, right? I was also the maker of Laura Ashley. I designed this beautiful candle so that it represents the brand. But the beauty of when it sits in a home, that is the mold that I broke. That's the legacy that I would like to make sure that people understand, that we created that connection, that candle should have a presence at home, because 90% of the time, what does a candle do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only time you're doing it is when you're lighting it, then it's doing its job. What else?
That was my last question.
Oh, okay. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Why are you doing this, by the way?
Because I think it's interesting that people know behind the scenes what inspires you, and it allows people to get to know who you are, not just as a product, but as a person.
Good,
I think
thanks.
I think a lot of people want to know the face behind the brand and learn, what got you here, and yeah.
I will say this, building a brand is one of the hardest things you can do, because it involves loyalty to customers, consistent communication. It's like I call it romance. It's like a relationship with a customer is a romance. No different than a husband and wife. So that is one of the hardest things now imagine you're in your marriage and you're having a tough time with your spouse. I gotta have that marriage with all my customers. So it's, 1,000, 10,000 times harder. And then you have to keep it up. You have to be loyal to them. You have to be consistently communicating. You have to be always bringing flowers to them. That romance is you have to have a long game, and you have to be able as a brand to be in it for that reason. What else? That's it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you. Now, can I get back to work now? Okay. Adios, people. Love you as
Bye.
always. Mwah.